Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to be breaking down the cases, both for and against the idea of bringing in Justin Fields and bringing back Justin Fields to be this team's bona fide starting quarterback heading into the 2025 NFL season. Before we get into the video today, it's going to be a longer one, just to prime yourself here. It's going to be a fun one, but it's going to be definitely pretty long. Get down there in the comments section and fill in the blank for me. Justin Fields is a top blank quarterback in the NFL right now. Is he top 10? Is he top 15? Is he even in the top 32? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Can't wait to see how you guys feel about Justin Fields. So, contrary to popular belief here, guys, I've been branded as kind of a Justin Fields hater because, I have other quarterbacks that I would rather sign this offseason than Fields. But I do think that the Steelers could do a lot worse than Justin Fields heading into 2025. And if the Steelers decide to bring him in as this team's starter for next season, I am 100% down to get behind Justin Fields, and I am ready to get behind this team as a whole, and I'm going to be rooting like heck that Justin Fields can become the type of player that lots of people in this fan base really believe that he can become. And he certainly has the upside to do it. He's a dynamic rusher of the football. He's got great size. He's a great teammate. He's a hard worker. He's got dynamic arm talent as well. He's got that high upside that teams really cherish. So 100% be right there with this fan base, rooting on Justin Fields. And I'm not one of those guys that'll say, I'm not watching the Steelers if they sign Justin Fields. That's not what it is. But full disclosure, he's not my first choice. There are other veteran options at quarterback that I would rather get because I do have some concerns about Justin Fields as a potential starter in this league for this team on a team that's trying to win now. So first, let's start with my concerns. Then we'll circle back to the things that I like about Justin Fields and some reasons to be optimistic. The first reason that I have some concern here is that he wasn't that good last year. All right, team was 4-2, but that's just one game away from being 500, right? So 4-2 is still pretty good. He did his job as the backup quarterback, kept the team afloat, all that great stuff, won some football games, protected the football relatively well, better than he had in his entire career to that point. But you have to remember, all right, the defense was the reason why the Steelers were winning those football games. It wasn't because the offense and Justin Fields were lighting it up. The Steelers' defense gave up less than 10 points per game in the 4 games that Fields won as this team's starting quarterback. And in many of the games the Steelers won with Fields at QB, they scored less than 20 points. And you take a look at his numbers and his advanced metrics from last season, didn't rank in the top 20 of any of these advanced metrics that I really care about. All right, the EPA per play was 25th. Catchable ball percentage, that measures accuracy, was just barely inside the top 25. His average depth of target wasn't really throwing the ball down the field all that much. His yards per attempt was sitting at 6.9, which ranked 23rd. His big-time throw percentage was 29th in the league, so he wasn't really making a bunch of big-time throws. His turnover-worthy play percentage was the lowest of his career, but still didn't crack the top 20. The time to throw still ranked 40th. He still has a real issue getting rid of the football on time, and then the pressure-to-sack ratio just barely cracked the top 25 as well. And then you compare him and his stats and the offense's stats compared to what this team did with Russell Wilson in there. And all I'm hearing is that Russell Wilson sucks and needs to be run out of town. Well, Russ in the offense scored a field goal more per game than Justin was in there. The yards per play was a lot higher. The EPA per play between the quarterbacks, Fields had it worse. The big-time throw percentage, significantly worse than Russell Wilson's. And then the turnover-worthy play percentage was a full point higher than Russ's. Then you take a look at his passing EPA, and this is something I hear a lot. Justin Fields was getting better every game he was playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. According to the EPA, that actually wasn't the case. His 3 worst games as a passer with the Pittsburgh Steelers came in his final 3 games, even in week 6, where this team scored over 30 points, and he still couldn't get above a 0 EPA for that football game. So Fields, I think, actually struggled in the kind of the final 3 games that he played. Of course, he lost to the Colts and he lost to the Cowboys in weeks 4 and 5. But even in that win against the Raiders, he was throwing some bad throws, some turnover-worthy plays, some inaccurate passes, and it just wasn't the best end to his 2024 tenure as the Steelers starter. And then, if you want to talk about his rushing value in terms of the rushing EPA, he ranked 26th both in total EPA. He was only worth 2.62 total estimated points above average there. estimated points added, and then the per attempt there was 26 as well, which per attempt, he was just worth 0.04 points as a rusher. So if you think Fields is super, super valuable as a rusher, at least last year, he really wasn't. And then you take a look at where the team really ranked offensively with him in at quarterback. We saw his personal numbers, but the team as a whole, 21st in points per game. And if you take away the Raider game where they had a block punt, they had multiple turnovers, giving the offense short fields, this number goes down to like 18.4, which would have ranked like 28th. The yards per game was sitting at 28th. The yards per play efficiency was sitting at 30th. The third down percentage was about league average, and then the red zone percentage was sitting at 26, so below average. So for me, guys, these numbers need to get better, plain and simply, if Justin Fields is going to justify being this team's starting quarterback. Now, maybe he does get better, but I think we have to have some realistic kind of takes on how good Justin Fields really was in 2024. Then we get into my second concern here, which is that the in-structure playmaking is rough with Justin. It is, all right? When you watch him on film, I think that he's capable of making extraordinary plays, like 2 to 3 crazy good plays a game that will fill up his highlight reel. But when it comes to the down-to-down consistency and playing within the structure of an offense, I think he still really struggles with that. I still think his mental processing, both on his first read and then moving on to his second, third, and fourth reads, it's really slow and it's inconsistent. All right, I think that his upper body mechanics are not really fundamentally sound. He puts his elbow up super high in his throwing motion. He doesn't really set his front side either. I don't love his upper body mechanics. And I think it leads to some accuracy issues. His footwork can also get out of whack, which also leads to accuracy issues at times. The timing, he is consistently late throwing to people in his progression. The anticipation is something you just don't really see on his film all that much. He doesn't anticipate open space, which certainly limits his potential within structure. His pocket presence has been awful for years. He runs into pressure. He doesn't have a really good awareness for space. And then the touch passing, his ability to layer footballs down the field is just not something that's a part of his game. He kind of only has one pitch, and it's a fastball, and he can't really find that changeup where he's able to throw some touch over the middle of the field or deep. And I think in the NFL, guys, you have to be consistent from a down-to-down basis, and you have to be able to win from within the pocket. And that's how you're consistent in the National Football League, is that you win within structure, all right? And you have to be able to, take a 5-step drop, go through your progressions, hit your guy on time, hit a guy with anticipation from time to time. And Justin Fields, at least to this point in his NFL journey, just doesn't do those things, which concerns me a lot about his potential upside heading into 2025. The third thing that concerns me about Fields is that he makes life harder on his offensive line because of his lack of pocket feel and pocket presence. And I think that this has been something that has been apparent his entire NFL career. Now, something that I hear all the time is, Justin Fields is mobile, therefore he'd be good for the Steelers' offensive line because he can run away from pressure. All right, and I think that, that's something that sounds good, but I think when you're actually on an NFL field, that doesn't really work. I think that, when you talk about what offensive lines want from their starting quarterbacks, their best friend is somebody that gets the ball out fast, all right? This is why Tom Brady had some of the lowest sack rates in the NFL for years. This is why guys like Aaron Rodgers, guys like Drew Brees, guys like Tua Tagovailoa, guys that get the ball out fast are the ones that help out their offensive line more. And, if you're holding on to the ball for a long time, that's going to lead to more pressure opportunities for the defense. And that's what Justin Fields does, guys. Ever since he entered the National Football League, he consistently ranks at the bottom of average time to throw rankings. Just last year with the Steelers, he ranked 40th with 3.04 seconds. He was dead last in 2023 with 3.23. And honestly, his best number in this category was in his rookie season. So you can even argue that he's been getting worse in this category since he entered the NFL. And as a result, you guys can see the sack percentages here. And once again, it's one of the lowest in the National Football League, all right? Like just last year, 34th in sack rate was the best of his career, but he couldn't even crack the top 32 in this metric. So Fields takes a ton of sacks, and then his pressure to sack ratio, so this is your ability to avoid sacks and not go down when pressure gets in your face. Justin Fields ranks 25th. So obviously Fields is a dynamic athlete. Obviously he can move, But obviously that mobility and that athleticism is not necessarily helping him out when it comes to avoiding sacks. And like we talked about earlier, I think he's got lackluster pocket presence. I don't think he feels the rush particularly well. And by the time that he realizes the rush is there, they're already bringing him down to the ground. So I do think Justin Fields is actually somebody that makes his offensive lines worse because he hangs on to the ball for too long, and then his lack of pocket presence doesn't really allow him to avoid pressure the way that he should. My fourth concern with Justin Fields here is that he struggles in pass-heavy situations. So this is like 3rd and long, 2-minute drill situations where the defense knows that Justin Fields has to throw the football. And this is where Fields is at his worst, unfortunately, is that when you take away the threat of Justin Fields' legs, and the defense knows Fields is throwing this football, he's not very good, guys. And all the in-structure playmaking stuff that I mentioned earlier really comes to light. His lack of timing, his lack of anticipation, his lack of accuracy. Take a look at his 3rd and long EPA per play. It ranked 34th among 41 quarterbacks with the Pittsburgh Steelers inside this offense last year. That's certainly not going to be good enough. Russell Wilson was top 5 in this category just last season, so he was able to dig the offense out of some really tough situations when they were getting off schedule. And plain and simply, guys, with Justin Fields in there, if the offense gets off schedule and you get into a 3rd and long situation, you can pretty much expect a punt. You can pretty much expect a 4th down after that because the conversion rate is just not very good when Fields is forced to throw the football in these situations. And it really does limit what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to do as a team next year if he can't improve this, because that means that Fields is probably going to have to consistently play with a lead in order for this team to have success. If this team is getting out to early deficits and they're going to have to throw the football to get back into games, Justin Fields isn't exactly the type of quarterback that is built to kind of play that brand of football. He has to be somebody that's a little bit of a front runner in order to have success in this league, or at least it's been that way to this point. And then the final point here and the final concern, and this one might be one of the biggest ones that I have, is that he has been arguably the least clutch performing quarterback in the NFL since he's been drafted. All right, he has just been awful in the 4th quarter when it comes to putting teams away, and then when it comes to sealing games with game-winning drives. All right, he only has 2 4th quarter comebacks in his career, and then he has 4 game-winning drives total in 4 seasons. That's not a lot, all right? And then you take a look at his clutch stats. He ranks like dead last or second to last in all of these categories here that we talk about. Completion percentage, interception percentage, 6.6% of his throws in clutch time get intercepted. His passer rating all the way down to 41st. I mean, there's backup quarterbacks that have had better clutch numbers than Justin Fields since he entered the league back in 2021. And then, I also came across this the other day, and I thought it was really indicative of just how bad Justin Fields has been in these tough and these tight situations in the 4th quarter. He's had 17 drives in his career where the team just needed a field goal. They didn't even need a touchdown. They just needed a field goal to win or tie the game. And he succeeded only twice, and one of those, there was an interception from Roquan Smith back in Chicago, and he got the ball at the 25-yard line of the other team. So he's basically 1 for 16 on chances to go and win the football game for his teams, all right? And then you take a look at another damning stat. Not only can he not seal games when he's trailing, he can't seal games when he's winning. He has had 10 games in his career where the team that he has been playing for has been winning in the 4th quarter, and the team ended up losing because of his poor play, or at least in part because of his poor play. That's 22.7% of his entire career starts have been lost with a lead in the 4th quarter. So he has a tough time finishing football games, and that really worries me about a team that wants to win now, that wants to play close games, and wants to win in the 4th quarter. I mean, right now, Justin Fields almost has as many 4th quarter leads lost as he has total games won in his entire career. He has been in the NFL 4 seasons, and he has 14 wins to his name. 4 of them came with the Pittsburgh Steelers just last year. And remember, Pittsburgh wants to play in these close games. They want to kind of, play ball control level football. They want games to be close in the 4th quarter, and they want to finish games. Say what you will about Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson, when it was clutch time and they needed to make a throw, usually those guys would make a throw. I just don't know if I trust Justin Fields in those kinds of moments. I mean, we saw it last year. He had an opportunity to go and take the game away from the Indianapolis Colts and win that game in week 4, failed to do that. Then he had a chance to put the Dallas Cowboys away in week 5, failed to do that, and then they ended up scoring a touchdown at the final second and stole that game from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I just don't know if I trust Justin Fields in the fourth quarter. Now, if he fixes some of the other issues that we've been talking about today, maybe he can turn it around. But to this point, he has been arguably the worst clutch performer at the position, and that's not something I want quarterbacking the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. So coming up here, I'm going to change my tune, all right? I'm going to make the case for Justin Fields because there's legitimately reasons to be optimistic about Fields moving forward, all right? So I'm going to get to those here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics, where you guys can get a Justin Fields jersey. If you really believe in Justin Fields, you think he's going to be the future franchise quarterback of this football team, go ahead, get his jersey right now. It's on Fanatics. You can find it at chatsports.com/Fields. It also helps out our channel, guys. Everybody that clicks on the link, chatsports.com/Fields, and makes a purchase, part of those proceeds go back to us here at Steelers Talk by Chat Sports to help us improve our graphics, help us improve our equipment, help us improve our office space, all that great stuff. It really does mean the world to us, guys. So make sure you go to chatsports.com/Fields if you guys want a Justin Fields jersey in your closet today. All right, now let's go to the positive stuff here, guys, because I think that Justin Fields legitimately is built for AFC North football. In this division, you have to be able to throw the football in tough conditions. There's no questioning Fields has the arm talent. He's got the arm strength. He can throw it from any angle and any platform in any condition, weather-wise. And then also he is a dynamic rusher of the football, which is obviously a benefit in these kind of weather games. I mean, in the snow games, rain games, where it really comes down to the run game, having a quarterback that's capable of touting the football, I think is absolutely a benefit for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Second thing is that the Steelers offensive structure is relatively quarterback friendly. All right, like they don't give Justin a ton of complex reads or anything like that. It's a lot of bootlegs. It's a lot of quick game concepts. It's a lot of play action deep shots where there's only like 2 people out there in a progression. And, that's the type of offense that I think Fields needs to be in order to have success. Because he's not the best mental processor, the Steelers need to make things relatively easy for him in terms of the reads that he gets. And to Arthur Smith's credit, he did that last year, and Fields arguably played the best football of his career in that 6-game stretch. So, I think that Art does make things easy for Fields, and I think that in terms of the offenses that Fields could have success in, I think Pittsburgh's structure works for his skill set. And then also, speaking of this system, it would be his second year in it, all right? So we all know that quarterbacks heading into the second year of a system tend to play better, all right? So we talked about the lack of production from Justin Fields earlier in the video. Now that he's heading into year 2 and he's had some time to really digest this system and this offense, and he's going in with a full year of experience under his belt, maybe he turns things around and he plays a lot better than he did in 2024. That's certainly a possibility. Then we can talk about virtual reality technology that could be a game changer for Justin Fields in speeding up his processor, allowing him to feel more comfortable with what he's seeing on the NFL field on game days. You look at testimonials like Jaden Daniels, who was like a round 7 type of prospect when he was with the Arizona State Sun Devils, and then he goes to LSU. He starts using the VR technology, and he claims that his mental processing speed has gone up 30% since he started using this technology on a daily basis. Just imagine what Justin Fields could do with that 30% extra mental processing speed. And it's more than just Jaden Daniels, guys. It was Sam Darnold with the Minnesota Vikings this year. Now, obviously, it helps to have Kevin O'Connell as your play caller and Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson as your weapons. But Darnold, his mental processing and his decision-making looked so much more decisive, so much better on tape this year with the Vikings than in his previous seasons with San Francisco, Carolina, and New York. And right now, Darnold's about to get a huge payday because of how he played after using this technology. If you guys want to see why I think the VR tech could be a game changer for Justin Fields, we actually did a whole video on this. You guys can check out that video here on Steelers Talk. That one's a really, really good one. Highly recommend it. All right, another positive here is that his teammates love him, all right? If the Steelers bring him back, Everybody in that locker room is going to be happy for him. They're going to get behind him. He is going to be the leader of that team. All right. And also the fans love him. So there's that as well. So he's certainly got that going for him. Then another thing that's good with him is that he won't be that expensive. Now, I think he's going to be more expensive than some Steelers fans think. I feel like some people think the Steelers can get him for like an $8 to $11 million contract. Guys, last year, the lowest level starter that was signed last year was Gardner Minshew with the Raiders. He made $12.5 million on his first year of his contract there in Las Vegas. So like $12.5 million is like the absolute floor that the Steelers would sign Justin Fields at. I think it's going to be closer to the $15 to $20 million range, especially with the extra like $30 million being added to the NFL salary cap this year. So I think he's going to be more expensive than some Steelers fans are expecting. But at the end of the day, $15 to $20 million for a quarterback is honestly not that much in today's game. Another thing that is a positive when it comes to Justin Fields is that he could be a long-term solution. If he's able to turn things around and he's able to play on time more often, be more accurate, be more consistent on a down-to-down basis. This is somebody that is like very close. I think he's just a year older than Jaden Daniels. Like this is still a very young man who is still developing. And if he hits, he can be your franchise quarterback for still the next decade. All right. So that is certainly something that appeals to a lot of Steelers fans that want somebody that's not an old geezer that's going to be here for 1 to 2 years. If you're somebody that wants a quarterback for the next decade, I can certainly see why you want Justin Fields. Then the final thing for the case for Justin Fields here, guys, is that could he be the next Jalen Hurts? Because Jalen, in my opinion, is far from a perfect quarterback, and he has a lot of the same kind of faults in his game as Justin Fields does, yet Hurts just hoisted a Lombardi trophy with the Philadelphia Eagles, and you have to wonder, could Justin Fields kind of follow that Jalen Hurts blueprint for success? I certainly think that is something that could be possible for Fields if he can develop. Some similarities between Hurts and Fields is that they're both legit rushing threats. I think Fields is even better than Jalen Hurts is, though. They're both great leaders and hard workers. You can't take that away from them. They both hold the ball for too long. They are both consistently in the league lead for like average time to throw, where it's over 3 seconds. The pocket presence, I don't like it with Jalen Hurts, and I don't love it with Justin Fields either. They like to leave clean pockets way too often. They both have really good playmaking instincts out on the perimeter, and they're both limited in structure playmakers, in my opinion. Now, I do think that Hurts is more accurate than Fields is. I think his decision-making and his vision is a lot better than Fields is. So these guys are not identical quarterbacks, and Fields still needs to get a lot better to even get close to where Jalen Hurts is. But I think that, both these guys can succeed when you have great rosters, and Jalen Hurts and the Eagles proved this year that if you put an elite roster around a quarterback like this, it can lead to potential Super Bowl success. So in conclusion here, I've made the case against and for Justin Fields coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. And, I think that he would be a big risk because of all the issues that we laid out on today's show, but at least he's a young, high upside risk. Like, I would rather have Justin Fields over Daniel Jones. I'd rather have Justin Fields over Kirk Cousins. I'd rather have Justin Fields than a bunch of different quarterbacks out there because, even though he's not the established playoff veteran that I would personally prefer, he is still very young and he does possess that high upside. So at the end of the day, there's only about 3 or 4 quarterbacks maybe that I would prefer over Justin Fields. And yes, if the Steelers go to him this year and they sign him and he is the starting quarterback next year, I will get behind him and I will be pulling for him every step of the way. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will Justin Fields win a playoff game with the Steelers in his career? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. And you know what? As a starter, will Justin Fields win a playoff game as the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Give me a yes or a no to finish up today's show. And listen, man, I get it. I rambled in this video, and this is a long one today. But if you made it to the end, that makes you a real one. And I greatly appreciate you guys making it to the end of today's show. So make sure you type real one if you haven't already down there in the comments section to let me know who you are down there in the comments section. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more extensive, in-depth Steelers coverage every single day here on the YouTube platform, 100% free. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.